everyone, welcome to Cloud Patrol. This is Michelle Charmaine Ramos, and I'm here at Undisputed Martial Arts with Archie Luz. Hi Archie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So he and his team just made an amazing demo, which you guys are about to see. And today we're going to talk about Kali. So Archie, as you noticed, Filipino martial arts has grown in the mainstream media, and it's now being featured in a lot of movies like Resident Evil, The Bourne Identity, and Mission Impossible. But a lot of people are not aware of the fact that those action sequences are actually featuring Filipino martial arts.
Kali stick fighting is a Filipino martial art. It's using two rattan sticks in each hand, one in each hand, and it's learning how to fight with these, defend yourself with the sticks. And I trained for 6 months. I didn't know anything about it.
Wow. Wow, Dad.
Okay, pop quiz. What's the proper name for one of those?
Easy, Balathong. It's Filipino. Daddy, look. Hey, come on, you're not looking.
Basically, I put him into a crash course into all different aspects of fighting. There tends to be a lot of violence in this project.
I am very impressed with Denzel Washington because watching other people trying to learn the same techniques, they sometimes take maybe 2 months to learn the same things that he was learning in just one session.
A lot of people these days aren't even aware that what they're watching in movies like Mission Impossible is actually Kali. So can you tell us how you feel about
That's a really valid point, actually. I really think the main reason is because Kali, Eskrima, Arnis, and Filipino martial arts in general is an ever-evolving martial art. It's a current martial art. It's something that is in use today almost anywhere, and it's not traditional by any means. It's also a very universal martial art, so you'll actually see a lot of growth in Philippine martial arts outside of the Philippines, which is ironic because the birthplace of Kali, Eskrima, Arnis is back there. But it's grown in North America in leaps and bounds as well, especially in Europe and other parts of Asia as well. So yeah, you won't recognize it as a system that comes from a certain region because it's something that's much more universal, something that is current, something that could be used in the real world today. In our intro scene with where Brittany was fighting against 4 assailants, you could see her take them out in basically 2 or 3 moves, and that's what Kali's all about. It's not about a lot of big flowery moves or a lot of theatrics. It's quick to the point, which makes it very effective in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
I started with traditional martial arts like karate and kung fu.
Oh, okay.
And then I found out about combat sports. So, I was a pretty athletic kid, so I decided I'd give that a try, and obviously I liked it. So I had a couple of kickboxing matches. And at that point, it was very difficult to find any matchups, so I ended up getting into boxing. So I boxed for an extensive amount of time. I ended up winning the nationals a couple of times and a couple other titles as well. And, I was involved in other combat sports as well. I got into Muay Thai not long after, and then mixed martial arts. So I started looking into other martial arts such as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, of course wrestling. Boxing was a big part of it, and Muay Thai was definitely a big focus in MMA. And after a while, I decided, I'm not gonna be fighting in the ring for much longer. I decided I needed to get into something that could, save me in the streets. Looking around, and especially in today's environment, there's a lot of altercations in the streets that involve weapons, especially knives. I decided I should look closer to home, to my own background, being a Filipino myself. So I looked into Kali, and obviously that's where I went. Of all the different styles, I ended up going with Kali Silvestrismo.
iRemit, may ngiti sa bawat padala.
You have rights and we can help.
First and foremost, it was one that is truly bladed, or relies on dealing with a bladed weapon. Most other Filipino martial arts out there have a tendency to be a bit more stick oriented, and the irony behind that is Filipinos for quite a while were not allowed by the Spanish colonizers at the time to use their bladed weapons, and ended up using sticks for that matter. But through the centuries, a lot was lost in translation. We forgot what it was all about. It was all about the bolo, the pinute, the typical Filipino short sword, even the kampilan, the two-handed sword, and then of course the knife. It's like a lot of people don't realize the Barong Tagalog, our shirt, was designed so that it could be see-through, no pockets, so we couldn't conceal any weapons. Because the Spaniards knew how dangerous we were with weapons, so. Yeah, of course. If you're the ruling class, you're going to make sure that the public won't be able to revolt. Eventually, we did, but in time, Filipinos just thought it was stick fighting.
What is it that made you stick with Calixto Ilustrismo of all the styles? Is there a recognizable trademark, or what is it?
Well, one thing about Tatang Ilustrismo, the founder of Calixto Ilustrismo, was that he passed away in his late 90s or of old age. But he survived many death matches. He had been involved in many duels. He was also at one point an assassin during World War II. He was a real, in other terms, he was a bad dude, right? So, but of course he survived, and a lot of people wondered why. Here's this guy that could survive all these battles, all these duels, and with pretty deadly weapons involved. And so I of course the system itself is based on his way, what he would call his way of self-preservation. And I looked at it and I watched some videos on some of the masters, like Master Tony Diego, my master. And Master Christopher Ricketts, they really had something. It was direct. It was a system that was no nonsense. It was straight to the point. In fact, what Tatang would say about the system was it was as simple as 1, 2, 3. That's how easy it should be, and it makes sense. If you can't defend yourself within 3 moves, then there's no way you could do it.
So it's more like 1, 2, dead.
You got it, pretty much. Yeah, that's the concept. Okay. One thing about the Philippines is we've always been either invaded or colonized by different cultures. So the Indo-Chinese, the Indo-Malays, even the Negritos in the very beginning, and then of course the Spanish came in. So when you look at the system, it's a blending of it all. The Ilustrismo family practices Grima, which means it's Grima in Spanish, hence fencing. Okay. And of course, they had their own family style involved. And then when Tatang was in the South, he learned how to fight the way the Muslims did. So by integrating the two, he came up with a very beautiful system. Not to say anything wrong about the other Cali or Eskrimo or any systems out there, but he came up with something I felt was truly Filipino. So we're Filipinos. We're a little bit more deceptive. We'll step off a bit to the side and we'll attack in an angle where our attacks can't be seen. Naturally, those attacks will land if they're not visible. And Cali definitely helped. So through the years, we've won quite a few awards. We've won countless national and provincial titles in both Muay Thai, kickboxing, as well as MMA, and we've even done very well in boxing. Boxing, we've won a couple of world titles. The WBC Nationals was won by one of our fighters recently, Nicole Kumar. She's
always winning it.
Yeah.
You created an amazing champion out there.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. And the footwork really came from Cali, I'd have to say. There's no doubt about it. If you were to watch our fighters move, they don't move like your regular fighter. We use what is probably known as a bolo or a pinute. Normally a short sword.
Okay.
It could be wielded with one hand. Unlike a katana, which is fairly long, that requires 2. we'll use something like this. In particular, our system uses a lot of what we call punta y daga, or espada y daga, so sword and dagger. So something like this. This is a typical espada. It's actually a little bit on the thinner side, very similar to a punta. Punta is a bit more of a rapier type blade. So if you're familiar with fencing and whatnot, it's a sort of a dueling blade. It's meant for fighting, right? It's not meant for chopping coconuts. Well, you could do it, but yeah, it's more for humans. So we would use that in conjunction with the daga, or a dagger, or a knife. So one long, one short. Normally, the longer blade would be in the strong hand, and your weaker hand would have the smaller blade. And in fact, really, we use this smaller blade for defending. So this would attack, this would defend. So, okay.
Okay.
But at the same time, the knife could be used as an attacking weapon as well, and then vice versa. The long blade, could be used in a defensive manner. So in this situation, like a low cruzada, this would be used as a block, and that would be used as a strike. And this is a pinute here. This one here is designed a bit more for combat. It's not your typical blade that you'd use again for clearing a field or cutting coconuts open, right? So this one here was actually, it's balanced a bit better for war, for battle, and has a pretty potent tip on it. So this is perfect for cutting. It's got a nice recurve on it, and it's got a good tip for stabbing. Okay, so this one here is actually interesting because it's got a reverse curve to it. The curve is going the other direction, meaning it actually helps in aiding in cutting. So this is perfect for slicing through things and whatnot. This is called the ginunting. This is called the gayam, and pretty interesting. Very similar in the sense of the tip being shaped like that.
Is there a function for that?
It's a bit more ornamental, although of course it looks quite intimidating. But it's a shorter blade. If you were to compare that to the pinute, it's a shorter blade. So it's reminiscent of a claw, or a tiger or eagle claw. Quite a painful bite this one would have. Normally could be carried like this, where the forefinger would be placed into that ring. Mm-hmm. You can also strike with that portion, of course. But in most cases, a lot of more experienced fighters will actually carry it outside. One of the things about Filipino martial arts is we deal a lot with weapons of opportunity. So you could pick up anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be a blade. It could also be a broken bottle, of course. You could pick up anything. A pen could become a weapon. So the one thing about our system is it's about economy of movement. It's about being able to use the same movements that you would use with a stick, with a sword, with a knife, or a pen, for that matter. So you learn how to fight, learn how to defend yourself, and at the same time get into great shape.
Yeah, and if you're gonna sweat and work your butt off anyway, you might as well do it learning something new. And when you study martial arts, it's a lifelong learning experience, and you might as well learn something that might save your life someday.